Now 2023 has been an outstanding year for video games, with the likes of Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3 setting new standards for the industry thanks to their incredible designs and epic exploration. It's also been a great year for Souls fans as well, despite the fact that From Software hasn't actually released any bloody Elden Ring DLC yet. Although we did get the phenomenal Armored Core 6, so we're definitely not complaining. And thinking about it, we've had no shortage of Souls-likes this year, with multiple releases delivering the same hard-earned high that so many have come to consider the hallmark of a top-tier title, from supposed spiritual successors to Bloodborne to compelling third-person shooters. So let's have a chat about them. As I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are the best Souls-like games of 2023. Lies of P. Since it was announced back in 2021, Bloodborne fans have been desperate to delve into this familiar-looking world from South Korean publisher Neowitz. And you play as the titular P in this Souls-like reimagining of the adventures of Pinocchio. Set in Krat, which is definitely not Yharnam, you awaken in an empty room after apparently being operated on to find chaos amongst the city streets. The puppets that once served humanity have all apparently revolted, leaving you to save the day. The Bloodborne similarities don't stop there either, as throughout the game, the protagonist gains a better understanding of reality, earning the opportunity to reach a new state of consciousness. And there's also a mild spoiler here, a new Game Plus mode and alternate endings, which add plenty of replayability. But the thing is, for all the similarities with FromSoft's cosmic horror masterpiece, Lies of P does an awful lot to stand out on its own. For a start, it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. I mean, sure, there's plenty of inspiration from Bloodborne in the design here as well, but the more you look at it, the clearer it is that there's a level of visual fidelity and detail that the 2015 title just didn't deliver on. Now, this isn't a dig at FromSoft, it's just worth appreciating what the devs here have done. Plus, the baroque steampunk aesthetic is unlike anything that we've ever seen before. Then there's the greater focus on parrying within Lies of P, with timing being a key part of playing well. It's not exactly like Sekiro, but fans of the 2019 game will likely click with P's combat system pretty quickly. And I mean, I guess you probably could roll the credits without this mechanic, but like Miles Teller in Whiplash, you're going to be in for a rough time if you don't get on board with the rhythm. Still, I'm not here to tell you how to enjoy yourself. If you're looking for a Souls-like that serves parts of Bloodborne and Sekiro before revealing its own unique qualities, well, Lies of P is a must-play. Remnant 2. Now, I know what you're thinking. You see the third-person, over-the-shoulder camera angle, and you're all like, hey, this is more like Gears of War than Dark Souls. Well, yeah, I guess you're right to a point, but you know what? Dig a little deeper, my friend, and you will find a lot more going on here. For example, at the beginning of this game, you can choose from an array of archetypes, which are this game's classes, and each one of them has their own pros and cons, depending on how you like to play. Regardless of which one you choose, you can wield up to 2 guns at a time, along with an accompanying melee weapon. Now, the most interesting thing about Remnant 2 is the procedural generation. Whereas the first game, 2019's Remnant from the Ashes, focused on creating unique level layouts for each player, the sequel goes much further. Biomes, enemy types, bosses, and NPCs are all random, meaning that each player's version of events, well, it's entirely their own. This feature stands out even more once you factor in the ability to play through the game's campaign in 3-player co-op. However, when it comes to its Souls-like roots, Remnant 2 is a bit more forgiving than most. While the movement and dodging is akin to a Dark Souls title, the game feels far less punishing when you die, as all that really happens is that you have to retread some ground. Another thing about Remnant 2 is that there are difficulty options: Survivor, Veteran, Nightmare, and Apocalypse, which is actually typically considered a crime in the Souls-like community. However, just because it's not overtly punitive doesn't make Remnant 2 any less of a great game, and if you do want to push yourself, well, just pick Apocalypse difficulty and, well, prepare to cry. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. The sequel to 2019's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, this action-adventure game puts players back in the familiar force-wielding hands of Cal Kestis, former Padawan during Order 66, who is now a first-rate Jedi. He even uses a blaster as well, so take that, Obi-Wan. Who's uncivilized now, you elitist? Sorry, I'm not sure what just came over me there. Anyway, Survivor may not be as brutal an RPG as the first game, but it's got plenty of bosses and set pieces that require you to sit up, pay attention, and maybe learn an attack pattern or two before you can then move on. It's also got compelling dynamic combat that means that no battle is ever a chore, no matter how many times you slip up against the spawn of Ogdo Bogdo, you bastard. Add to that a layered skill tree system and a host of dungeon-style environments, with unlockable shortcuts to ease the burden of backtracking and repeated run-ups, and any Souls-like fan will feel right at home among the many planets of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But I tell you what guys, just be prepared for Rick the Door Technician, okay? He means business. Blasphemous 2. Blasphemous 2 is a sequel to 2019's Blasphemous, surprise surprise, and just like in the original game, it's a 2D Metroidvania title with Souls-like elements. Playing as the penitent one, you'll face no shortage of tough foes on your quest to prevent the rebirth of a curse, somewhat ironically named the Miracle, which is a bit like calling biting the inside of your cheek a blessing. In addition to some intimidating bosses, Blasphemous 2 is filled with infuriating traps and some engaging platforming sequences. It's worth pointing out that the game can be considered easier than its predecessor, but there's still plenty of fun to be had in this gothic world. So if you're a side-scrolling enthusiast with a love of puzzles and side quests, this is the game for you. Plus there's 3 different weapons to pick from, each with their own fighting style and skill trees. They can all be used for traversal as well, so make sure to examine environments thoroughly when you can. And finally, let's talk about Lords of the Fallen. Acting as both a sequel and a reboot to the 2014 title of the same name, 2023's Lords of the Fallen is a Souls-like that's been on many a radar for quite a while, and the more we see, the more we like it. With a gorgeous in-game world that oozes Dark Souls energy whilst retaining its own identity. There's a variety of classes to choose from, including the Black Feather Ranger who would look comfortably at home right in Bloodborne, and plenty of different playstyles accommodated for. And from this, it's fair to assume that Lords of the Fallen is going for more of an Elden Ring vibe than traditional Souls title. It's also packing seamless co-op, including via crossplay, so you can grab a buddy on a different console and explore together. Having played the game at Gamescom, we were quickly impressed and are desperate to dive back into Lords of the Fallen, and that's why this game, which is pretty much just released right now by the time this video goes live, makes our list. Technically, we've not played the full game, and maybe it is a bit premature, but you know what? We're feeling good about this one. Oh yeah. And there you go, my friends, the best Souls-like games of 2023. Have you been playing any of these titles? Well, if so, let us know which one is your favourite down in the comments below, and remember to follow FGS for more great gaming content. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome, never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.